Okay, so this is going to be to cover a lesser known uh, biblical personage, Joseph of Arimathea, and how that the first above ground church actually ended up being in Britain compared to where it should have been in Jerusalem. Now, they were hiding in Jerusalem at the time because they were being persecuted by the Pharisees and those in power. Uh, the Bible only mentions Joseph of Arimathea in passing, that he provided the sepulcher for Yeshua. But what also isn't well known, unless you look at other sources, he was actually his uncle. And if you look at the lost years of Jesus, not the ones where he said he went to India or whatever, but he actually traveled with Joseph of Arimathea to the tin mines. So he would have gone by ship through here up to Cornwall in England. That's where the tin mines were. And there's a thing called the Traditions of Glastonbury. And there's a kernel of truth to that. Yeah, so the line would have been down here in the back. So that was the mining of tin in the world. Was the major mining of tin and lead in the world was in Cornwall up there in Britain. And there's a book called the Doomsday Book, and it records a man called the Nobilis de Curio, and that was what the Romans called Joseph of Arimathea. The person that did the seminal work on this is E. Raymond Capt, C-A-P-T. He passed away a few years ago, but he was pretty prolific doing archaeological research. He did a video called The Traditions of Glastonbury, which is, he's probably got about 50% of it right. Some of the traditions are just, silly, added on. But the reason the first above ground church was in Britain was because of the Druid tradition. The Druid tradition had a trinity. The Druids would worship in oak groves, and most oaks have three main branches, and they would carve the names of the three of their trinity into it, and one of them was called Hessa. So when the missionaries came up there, they jumped on it real quick. So that's and plus there was a tradition of him being there as a kid, so there was probably people there that actually met him as a kid. So there's evidence, like I said, is the Roman Doomsday Book mentions him as Nobilis de Curio, and that he had 12 hides of land. And hide was a measure of land that would provide for a family for a year. And you can look that up. But anyway, he was called the Nobilis de Curio in Roman times, and in the Doomsday Book he's mentioned in there. And it's pretty interesting. Like I said, a lot of it's been embellished, but that's the area was right there. That was the center of tin mining for the ancient world right there, and lead. And there's all kinds of songs there. But if you look at the Traditions of Glastonbury, the Glastonbury city coat of arms supposedly depicts two things carrying sweat from the brow of the boyhood Yeshua, but that's probably pretty silly. But anyway, the first above ground Christian churches that weren't hidden in catacombs like they were in other places, those guys had to hide out. I mean, they were street preachers, but the street preachers could run around and not get really snagged, as it were. They were traveling, but the people that were worshiping place had to worship underground. So the first above ground churches were in Britain, where the Druid traditions predicted a trinity, and also the Celtic churches, after they were separated obviously from the channel from the rest of the first Roman church, and they observed Saturday as the holy day, as the Sabbath. And when the Roman church expanded up there, they exterminated a lot of them because they were keeping the true Sabbath day. Anyway, check out E. Raymond Cap's seminal work on it, The Traditions of Glastonbury. Thank you.